is heading to Baltimore for 2 first-round picks, one this April, one in 2027. Crosby has been the face of the Raiders for years. He has 360 quarterback pressures over 7 seasons. That is the most in the National Football League. But the Ravens weren't on anyone's radar because this is not the norm for Baltimore. In fact, Crosby is the first veteran player the Ravens have ever traded a first-round pick for. Here's Max.
I'm excited in attacking this head on like I do everything else. The fans there, I'm not going to sit here and make a bunch of grand, predictions and anything of that nature. I'm going there with one purpose, and that's to help this team get to where it needs to be and where everybody wants to go, and that's winning the Super Bowl. And I know it's going to be very difficult. I know there's no guarantees in this, but I'm going to give everything in my heart and soul to bring a championship to Baltimore.
So the Ravens were a field goal away from the playoffs last year. Now they get the addition of Maxx Crosby. They obviously have a new head coach there. Jason McCourty is with us. Peter Schrager joins us again from Indianapolis. And so does this move now make Baltimore one of the favorites to win the Super Bowl?
When you talk about favorites, and to me, you're looking at the Rams, you're looking at Seattle at the very top of that list. I love this trade for the Baltimore Ravens and what it does on the defensive side of the ball. There's a sign in Baltimore, they always talk about play like a Raven. Maxx Crosby is the definition of that, the way he attacks and he plays the game. I think this is up the level of the team, the expectations. But when you're going off Super Bowl favorites, right now I do not have them above Seattle, and I don't have them above the LA Rams. They're at the same part with the Buffalo Bills in the AFC as favorites on that side. But this hasn't surpassed those teams at the very top. I do like the move what Crosby can do, but there's still some things that you have to figure out. For the Baltimore Ravens, they're still going to need Lamar Jackson to be the guy down the stretch in the playoffs to be able to make the necessary plays to get them there. They've been on the doorstep year after year, and they haven't been able to get over the hump. I think Crosby gives them a better chance, but you just can't make one move. I think sometimes we fall into the moment and we want to live there. And you see Crosby and a fantastic football player, and we automatically throw them over teams. You think about it, the LA Rams brought in Trent McDuffie and paid him a large contract. The biggest issue for them was their secondary last year. They've made the necessary moves to say they're the favorites in the NFL to win the Super Bowl. Seattle, coming off that victory last year, have so many of those pieces coming back, including their quarterback in Sam Darnold, and a ton of those pieces on the defensive side of the ball. So as much as I love the move to bring Crosby over to Baltimore, and as much as it makes sense, it's hard for me to put them at the very top of that list and just have them leapfrog some of those teams.
What do you think, Schrags?
I wouldn't have said that this move puts most teams over the hump. The Baltimore Ravens, this is the perfect player. Tone setter, absolute animal. And Jesse Minter is the head coach now. Jesse Minter is a defensive head coach who comes from the LA Chargers. He faced Maxx Crosby 4 times when Crosby was a Raider, and he wrecked all 4 of those games. Declan Doyle's the offensive coordinator. Comes from Chicago, yes, but he was with Denver before that, where Maxx Crosby wrecked his offense a ton of times. These guys know what they're getting. And you picture that Ravens deal, and Jason hit it. It's put the Nelly on. It's Ray Lewis doing the dance. That hasn't been the Ravens defense the last few years. It hasn't. And you can blame Zach Orr, and you can blame some of those players getting hurt. Maxx Crosby, last one out of the tunnel, with the tattoos and getting crazy and doing what he did for the Vegas Raiders on bad Raiders teams, coming out to M&T Bank Stadium. If I'm a Ravens fan right now, I'm getting jacked up right now in the middle of March. I'm ready to go. Tone setter, game wrecker, and if you are the Ravens, you think you're a couple players away. Maxx Crosby is an elite pass rusher. Again, 28 other teams, I would not give up 2 first-round picks for Maxx Crosby because of the age and where he's at and where those teams are and what they need. Baltimore Ravens? Oh, that guy is as Baltimore Raven as I've ever seen, and the coaches know what he can do. And gosh, I think they are just a couple pieces away. Stephen A., I love it, and I do think it puts them right at the top of the heap as we go into the 2026 season.
Well, I think they're at the top of the heap, fellas. But we can't dismiss the Denver Broncos, and here's the reason why. Their quarterback, Bo Nix, got hurt right before the AFC Championship game, okay? We know that. So he didn't play in the NFC Championship game. The backup, had that Jarrett Stidham, All right, got the wife looking like, I mean, the
leave
wife.
Steady alone.
No. I ain't knocking the brother. Matter of fact, I want to applaud that brother. The wife was there looking like her husband was the starting quarterback for an AFC championship team. I mean, that white mink, it was off the chain. I got to give her credit where credit is due. She was flossing big time.
Shout out Kennedy.
Ain't nothing wrong. That is a compliment. Let me tell you something, because she was looking fly as hell. I got to give it to her, okay? I got to give it to her. You wouldn't have known her husband was the backup. You just wouldn't have. Now, having said all of that, let's understand this right now, okay? Baltimore ain't the favorites because of Denver with Knicks and the fact that Denver's defense had 68 sacks. They were 4 shy of all-time record by the Bears in 1985, 1984, 1985 when they had 72 sacks. We got to remember that, okay? So they're coming back. But Baltimore's right up there. Make no mistake about it, okay? Now you got to look at Maxx Crosby. Let's put this stuff in its proper perspective. When you look at the Baltimore Ravens, 28th in the NFL in sacks last year. 29th in quarterback pressures, okay? That's problematic, okay? You don't expect that from a Baltimore Ravens squad. Their defense was so bad, Ray Lewis decided to go to Miami Hurricane games. And you ain't seen him in the Baltimore Ravens games. You ain't seen him. You know what I'm saying? You always saw him at the Miami Hurricane games because he knew that defense was trash. That's all you need to. We all know that if the Baltimore Ravens defense was going to stand up and represent, Ray Lewis would have found his way to Baltimore, okay? Now, he tried to tell me he was at Baltimore. I said, damn it, I ain't see you. I saw the governor there on a few occasions, Governor Westmore, Maryland. He was at the damn games. I didn't see Ray Lewis. I see him, but I don't see you. I ain't buying it. Ray Lewis was not there, okay? But you look at Maxx Crosby. Here's what we need to know about Maxx Crosby, Pro Bowler the last 5 years, all right? Led the NFL's in tackles for loss in 22 and 23, okay? 22 and 23. 10 sacks, career high, 28 tackles for a loss last season, right? We got that going on, all right? I'm looking at his numbers right here. 360 career pressures since debuting in the NFL in 2019. 29 more than the next best player. That was Myles Garrett. That's who the hell Maxx Crosby is. So he is 28. He's coming off a knee injury, but we all know he's a stud. He can ball. And not only that, his arrival in Baltimore tells you we ain't messing around. We know that we got to address what our culture, what our signature, what we stand on is all about. Looking at the defensive ranks, I come back to you, Peter, because I know you want to get back in here, right? Yeah. Total defense, 24th. Fourth worst ranking in franchise history. 30th in pass defense. 18th in scoring defense. Tied for 28th in sacks. You expect better than that from a Baltimore Ravens squad. So the fact that it's one thing to say that we're improving our defense, but to give up 2 first-round picks to go and get Maxx Crosby tells you what they're prioritizing. Yes. And I think that's the good sign of Maxx Crosby being in a Baltimore Ravens uniform now.
Stephen A., I would just add this. As I was doing that whole rant and throwing my flowers at Maxx Crosby, an NFL coach reached out to me in that real time. As you know, this happens, and said he's also probably the best run defender at that position in the entire league. Wow. Don't forget run defense. And I said, okay, Jason McCourty, you know more about that than I do. But when you put that all together and you put that on the Baltimore Ravens franchise with those fans and that scene, yeah, sign me up. Let's go.
Yeah, no doubt. Maxx Crosby, highest career pressure rate is against the AFC North. So let's keep that in mind, too. ESPN, as you covered all day. Breaking news a few hours ago on this free agency Monday in the NFL, the Miami Dolphins will officially release quarterback Tua Tagovailoa, the team announced. By cutting Tua, Miami will take on an NFL record $99 million in dead cap money, split over 2 years' time. Stephen A., your reaction to something we knew was probably going to happen, but now it's official.
Listen, the reality is that we all know that Tua can play. You know, but the bottom line is that his durability is a huge question mark. He was never the same since that vicious concussion that he suffered against Cincinnati. And then obviously you have to prioritize him throwing in a clean pocket, you know, trying to evade pressure as much as he possibly could. When he can stand out there and take pictures before throwing the football, that brother's one of the best with them. But they know if you put a hat on this brother, he's going to get rattled. And as a result of that, it compromised their passing game. His arm strength was compromised. He couldn't even throw the deep ball the way that he once could. I'm not trying to tell you that he can't be a quarterback in the National Football League in terms of his talent, but his size and his inability to withstand the physicality that is thrown in his direction, I think says a lot. I actually thought he should have retired a couple of years ago only because of the physical punishment that he can't endure. And I think that when you look at him, it's sad almost because he'll stay in the NFL. Somebody will pick him up because he can throw the football. But the reality is that you can't really rely and depend on him because he just can't take that punishment. That's not his fault. It's just the reality of the situation.
37.5 QBR last season, the worst of his career. So if he goes somewhere, he's going to have to get right and have a very strong